What's up, y'all? This is your Lagler Hummel. I'm going to teach you how to set it up as a one-man crew and put sandpaper on it and start it up. This is how I bring it in on every single job. I take it apart and I blow it off and clean it up. First, pop the motor on, like so. And you tighten up these knobs on both sides. Sometimes you got to lift the front of the motor to get the knobs to go exactly where they need to. Tight, 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 tight. Done. Next, spin it back around this way. Pull this little screw off right here. I never tighten it any more than what I can get on and off with my fingers, hopefully. Sometimes the machine gets hot, and you gotta use pliers though. Next, you're gonna put on your big belt first. This propels the sanding portion of the machine and obviously does all the hard work. This is your fan belt. This is what keeps the dust from going in the air and going into this bag where you want it. So you put that little guy on next. Back. Careful not to get your fingers between the belt and the pulley. It fucking hurts bad. Okay, so next, this thing right here. Tighten up until your belts get tight. This is a really important part right here. My machine's cold and my belts are cold. So I'm not going to tighten this too much. I'm going to let the machine warm up and let everything expand the way it wants to. And then I'm going to come back and revisit this. You're turning the belt back like this and going by feel. That's about where you want it. I'm going to tighten it just a hair more. And then we're going to call that good until the machine's nice and warm after I've sanded for a while, and I'll go back and check it again. Put that screw back in. And turn this baby around the other way. This is already in the up position. That releases the pressure on the drum, which you will locate inside of here. No sandpaper in there currently. We're going to throw on a 6 grit ceramic belt from Burma. This is some of my favorite paper for this machine. It's got a really thick backing. Sands all this gnarly old finish off. It does a really great job on floors. I hear some other companies have some comparable abrasives with backings and stuff like that coming out. We'll see. I hope that they've got colors that match my motif though, because obviously I've got a thing for me. Okay, so that's on there. Pop that back down. We put our cover back on. You can see my belts have got buck nasty before this machine has seen some rough shit. Sanded almost all the way out of the house. It's a story for another day. Cover back on. Make sure that's clamped. Sometimes you can leave this off when you're running low grit like I just put on, because it'll let the belt track a little bit better and actually let you see the cutting, and it will also help the dust control. Even though it leaves some on the floor, when you're running lower grit like that, the machine has a hard time keeping up with all of it. So the last thing that we're going to do is plug it in. Listen to Hummel has a test side on off switch, which I like very much. So make sure your drum is all the way up. And here, and then you hit test. Everything sounds and looks beautiful, so we know that this machine's ready to sand. The next part of the video, I'll do some voiceover, and I'm going to sand this very floor, so you guys will be able to see this thing in action. I haven't used it in a while since I got the hyper grinder, but in all honesty, as much as I love the hyper grinder and as much as I love planetary machines in general, I think this baby will always have a place on all of my jobs. It's important to hit the floor with different machines. Belt sanding is entirely different than the way a planetary works, and the conjunction of the two is going to give you the flattest, best floor that you can possibly get. Thank you guys for watching. I love you so much, and I appreciate you being a part of this YouTube journey with me. It's going to be fucking awesome. I'm going to go ahead and say some of these swear words too, because some of you recommend it. Now we're going to do a little sanding action now that you're all set up. I spend a lot of time kicking the cord around, as you can see. I know a lot of guys have like a helper that will hold the cord for them, and maybe one day my sons will, but for right now you're just going to watch me kick it around. So we put the sandpaper on, we put the belts on, we put the machine together, we know it runs, we know everything's dialed in, so we know we're ready to cut. I usually like to start on one side, and on a gnarly refinish like this, I'm usually going to make one pass at about a 45-degree angle first. What that's going to do, and what you're seeing right now, is it pulls the finish off, it flattens the floor, and it exposes all of the raw wood. So we're going to be able to see what the floor looks like under the old finish. We're going to be able to see how flat it can get, and we're going to see basically how the rest of the sanding process is going to go also. This first cut tells us a lot. Excuse me for coughing, and also excuse me for the first part of the video not having good audio. I ordered a lapel mic that should be here like today, so hopefully you only have like 1 or 2 more days of bad audio videos to bear with me through, and we're going to get better at this together. Hopefully they're already getting better. I've invited you guys over from some of my other social medias like Facebook and Instagram and Threads. I don't do TikTok because I don't like TikTok. But if I was there, and if you're there, feel free to come over here. So we're sanding, man. This is basically normal speed. I'm thinking about pausing this video and speeding it up for the interest of you being able to see this a little bit quicker. But also I think it's useful to see this in real time because it can help you study technique a little bit, and it can really help you see what the machine's doing and how it's doing it. So we've got 36 grit on. If you listen close, you can hear the machine. 36 grit is always loud. Anything lower than like 50 grit, you're going to hear kind of jumping around inside the machine and making like a vibration noise. That used to scare me. It used to make me think there was something wrong with the machine until I ran low grit by a bunch of different abrasive companies and kind of got used to it. One thing you can do to mitigate a bit of that is pull the dust cover off while you're doing this rough pass. My dust cover's on. It's on the right side. You can't see it. What you're seeing on the left is the belt cover. But I left it on this because this isn't pulling off too much finish, and this actually isn't that gnarly of a refinish, even though it might look like it. You can see some dark spots and stuff like that, but it's really just mostly the old orange polyurethane. This is always like my favorite part of the job, getting to break through the finish and seeing what the floor is going to look like. Because like I said earlier, this first pass tells you how the rest of the sanding job is going to go, basically. So already I know that this first 45 degree is going to do all of the leg work that we needed to do. All the stuff I mentioned earlier, flattening and exposing raw wood and all that. So if I was still seeing that the floor is not totally flat, if it was leaving bad chunks of finish behind, if it didn't look as clear and clean as it does right now, then I would anticipate doing this whole room basically at 145 degree angle and then cleaning it, switching belts on my machine, and then switching 45 degree angles to the opposite. And that's on super gnarly floors. And the reason I do the 245 degree angles is to double all of the stuff that we already mentioned. So if you do it one direction and you've got leftovers and it doesn't look totally flat, when you go to 45 it from the other direction, it's going to make all the difference in the world. If you got the right abrasives on your machine, meaning if you're sanding enough, not too much, and you're doing everything you're supposed to, those 245s are going to make even the gnarliest of floors flat. And that's not it either, though. When you do 245 degree angles, you're obviously going to leave aggressive X marks, like cross hatches all over the floor. So after I do the X, which is the 245s, I will stop clean the floor again, switch belts again, put a fresh belt on the machine when I've got all that raw wood, and then I will go back over it at like a 10-degree angle. And that's to pull out all the cross hatching and to basically clean up the floor. So I know a lot of people, when they're refinishing hardwood floors or, installing a new one or whatever, that they kind of just sand each process enough to say they did it. And I don't know if that's because that's how they were trained or that's just what they're telling themselves in their head they need to do. But the point I'm making is that you need to sand fully on each step to the extent that it looks like your job could be complete at that step. What do I mean by that? I mean, don't leave finish. So this is 36 grit, and by all means, that's a low grit and would never be an acceptable finish for a floor, but I'm going to make it look good. And what I mean by that is I'm going to remove all the finish. I'm going to make the scratches even. I'm going to make the scratch even across from left to right in terms of how much I take off, how I take it off, the lines that are left behind. And every single part of the process that I do, I want to make this floor look as close to finished as possible. And the reason that is because each next step will be that much easier when I get to it. The reason that I want to do it that way is because my work day and work week gets so much better. You come in on a Monday. Actually, this is a Tuesday. I had to final coat a job last week on Monday in the snow. That's a whole other story. So you come in on a job on a Monday or Tuesday in this case, and you're just ready to work hard. You know, you're going to sand all the gnarly old finish off, but you're also going to have one of the more satisfying days. So it's also why I like to clean the heck out of my job site at the end of the day too. Because you're always setting yourself up to not be mad at yourself the next time you go to work. That's my mentality at least. So like when I come in on Monday, I do all the super gnarly sanding. I do all the shoe molding removal. I get rid of all the gunk and goo. And then I clean the heck out of the job site before I leave for the day, and I organize all my tools. So now when I go back to this job today, I know that all my stuff's going to be right where I put it. I'm going to have a nice clean job site, and it's going to be really easy to get started at work. I'll just run the edger around the edges, and then I'll hop on my planetary machine, which is the HG that you guys have seen and loved. And we'll just make the floor pretty. So Wednesday will be awesome. Like almost all this old finish is off. And I'll take a video today too and go over that part of the process with you guys, because it really is a completely different day at work. So what are we got? About 5 or 6 minutes left in this video. I've been babbling a lot, and you guys can still see the point here. So I think I'm actually going to start summing this up rather than let this thing play through all the way to the end, because you guys are probably done listening to me talk. I hope you learned some stuff. I know that I kind of just rant on these videos in a casual way. My goal is to make a concise, not necessarily script for these videos, but have some bullet points I want to hit, and I'll always kind of keep doing this in like a free form kind of podcast format. And that being said, I want to eventually invite some of you guys to help me make these voiceovers and to kind of do it as a podcast. I'm setting up streaming services on my computer, and I'm also going to set up like a call-in sort of podcast type deal where you guys can call me, leave messages about hardwood floors or really about anything with specific questions that you might have. And then what I will do is pick some of those questions and then either make videos like this about them or just like selfie videos where I kind of address the questions and give you guys answers and give you guys advice. And eventually that's going to evolve into sort of like a call-in podcast. And maybe I'll wear silly costumes and have a soundboard and make fun of stuff too, because that is probably my ultimate dream, is to just be a silly goose.
But for now, you're watching me do hardwood floors, and don't forget that I'm the best at it, and I trained myself, and I'm going to train you guys too, and we're all going to be happy hardwood flooring contractors together. So thank you for taking your time out of your day to watch this video. Thank you for subscribing to my channel. Please comment below. Don't forget to subscribe, and definitely don't forget to like, and let me know if this has helped you in any way, if you think it could help anybody else you know, or if you have any questions about stuff in the future that I could help you with. I love you guys. Have a great day.